analytics asked, the boss. So they came to CIO, but CIO said, I don't know anything about the business. So it was a kind of a really, I call it a loophole, so so at that perspective, you can have definitely on the business side one-to-one to product, but very vague or very insecure, responsibility on the data side, whether it's a CTO team, whether it's a CIO team, or it's a data analytics team, because there are many connected partial things, because you can ask the data products and you don't have the infrastructure for that. You can have the data products, you can write it nicely, you can picture it and figure out everything, and you don't have the infrastructure for that. Or you can create it on your computer. You can do the Docker, and everything is working perfectly. You want to publish it to the infrastructure, and there are all these ISO norms, everything like that. And they said, we don't go that way, because there is an infrastructure guy and said, I'm not allowing that. So you need these 3 touch points, where it's infrastructure, architecture, and data, and all 3 have this 30% or 1/3 of that responsibility for the data product. When you have them on your side, the data product is perfect. You have one business owner and 3 guys, they put the thumbs on, so that's fine. But it's very rare. It's very rare, from what I know.
Yeah, perfect. Coming to you, Greg, right? How do you see this data ownership? Again, how do you divide it? Technical side and business side.
I see, of course, there's the need for the technical part, that data product teams should be enabled with all the tooling and the technology so that they are able to build data products. And I think this kind of composition of different types of data products, so we have discussed the data product could be a report, the data product could be an asset, needs to be some kind of data management in advance. So there may be different types of data product tooling sets, so the composition of those things. And what should be enabled in such an organization is that there is a kind of a preparation of all those tools, what you need to have for data product type A and B and C and so on. And for the data product teams, it should be as easy as possible to press a button and be provisioned with all the tools what you need to have. And somebody on a central responsibility, maybe the CDO, for instance, should care about all those relevant tools what you need to use. And in this case, the second part of the responsibility, from my point of view, of the chief data officer, the governance part, not only the data governance, the data quality, but also the standards, the implementation, the compliance rules, and all those things should be handled by a kind of policies, what you describe centrally, and distribute to all the environments of the data products, so that they have no chance to do it in a different way, because they have to fulfill all the policies, and only if they fulfill the policies, the data asset or the result, the output board of the data product is able to be deployed on a marketplace, for instance. So that should be the kind of differentiation. So I don't see that a data product team needs to have a technical responsibility in their team. So of course, they should be provided with all the relevant stuff, but from a central perspective, and that could be also one of the tasks or the responsibility of the CDO, that he is caring about all the different types of data products, what the organization will need in the future, the composition of the toolings, the decision for dedicated technologies, and the data product teams should only, from my point of view, and the owners should only care about the business part on that. So they consume that types of data products in terms of tooling and infrastructure, and start immediately with connecting data, what they are allowed to, in terms of data contracts and so on, and then they can start developing their data products and sharing their outcomes on the marketplaces. So that's what I think it could work. And that's how I already see implementations in a large organization, how they handle those distributed systems. Otherwise, it's horrible. Yeah, if everybody is deciding for themselves what you want to use, skip it. Yeah, as fast as possible. Yeah, stop it.
Yeah, last time we had silos, OLTPs. Now we will have silos, data products. And silos, data products, power consumption cost is very,
Yeah.
very, people are coming towards serverless and all those things.
Yeah, and those kind of policies. So Marcus has shared that topic, so that you have to care about some ISOs and other things like that. So compliance rules and many other things. Yeah, what the data teams inside the product teams should care about, and this should also be part of that kind of policies, which are distributed from a central governance responsibility, for instance, the chief data officer, to all the data product teams. Yeah, and that, so from my point of view, CDO is caring about all the technical infrastructure, what should be used, all the governance rules, all the data quality rules, all the compliance rules, which should be recognized in all those data products. That's a kind of description of the chief data officer responsibility from my point of view.
Yeah, that would be my last question. But before that, Daniel, your take, data product ownership from business and technical end. You are mute, by the way.
That is probably why I was not heard.
Sorry, no, last time we could hear it. So 11 minutes left. Daniel, you have 2-3 minutes before I pose the last question.
Absolutely. So for me, the question is perhaps we need to take a retake on the question in my perspective. Once again, the purpose of a data product is not to have a data product. It's not to have a technical solution. It is to solve a business problem to support your operational excellence. To do that, you need to have some design guidelines or design principles, as you just elaborated very well on, Greg. But so to the question, who owns the data product? The question is, what do you mean by that? I still think it needs to be your subject matter expert who owns the content that goes into the data product. But then you need to have someone who owns the design principles that make sure you adhere to something that is stringent, a common language, a common model across. Because when you're at the point of 1,600 data products, it's easier to create the new data product than to find the right one. Mm-hmm. So what happens then is that you focus too much on technology and too little on the purpose of it. So my take, subject matter experts, I don't care if it's business or IT, subject matter experts own the data they're producing. Then whomever it is supports with the design principles that you adhere to. And then those are published in a stringent way with a common language across.
Yeah, so when I say a technical product owner, my take is this subject matter expert will also sit with CDO. But the owner of this data will be business for sure, because business is running the business. Now, if for example, it's a sales data, right? So sales data is owned by business stakeholders. But when this data flows into a data product, CDO, subject matter expert, should know what is there in the data product. Because tomorrow when marketing comes and say, hey, I need some KPIs from sales domain, everything should not go back to the business of sales, because sales is very busy in their business. There has to be a subject matter expert sitting within the CDO team who should know, hey, we already have sales data, we already have a product for procurement, we already have a product of finance, marketing, you can get it from here. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Daniel. Yeah, this subject matter.
In my context, my subject matter expert sits in business. I would consider that role a liaison or something, someone who acts as the bridge between the business who knows the domain. But then, and given the time constraint, we're getting into a complex discussion, because business domains and data domains are not the same, because a product exists in many of the different business domains, and you have different facets of that product in the different domains, which makes it a bit more complicated, because you can own your business domain, but you might not own the product data in all the domains. So that makes it complicated, but that also means that you need to have an architecture and a design principle that allows and enables the people who know their stuff, your subject matter expert, that they also understand what it means to work with data. And then we go into all of the data literacy part, which I think is critical, and that is a trait across all functions and not just in the IT domain.
Yeah. Okay, let me pose my last question. We have a time check of 7 minutes. So each of you have 2 minutes max, and 1 minute I will take for our question. Okay, now there's a lot of confusion as we discussed right in the start of this session. There is a CDO role, there is a data governance role, there is a chief digital officer, there is chief analytical officer, there is CTO as well. And now, which was previously running this whole DO thing, and there is new role, CAIO role, all these separate roles, right? Now the question comes, can they run in parallel as peers? I feel no, because then there's a competition, there's a conflict, there's a finger pointing, anything. There has to be one role who should drive all these. As I'll be very biased, guys, I'm a data guy. I want CDO to sit up there, right? Because I'm more towards, when I talk about CTO, bringing under CDO, because I'm looking towards cloud technology mostly. In fact, even nowadays, on-prem technologies are so flexible that you can upscale, downscale, all those kind of stuff in on-prem as well. So I feel, I'm still not concrete, I need feedback from you guys. I feel CDO should sit up there, right up there. Reason being, data will never change. AI change, data mining change, data science change, Gen AI change, all these roles keep coming and going. Data will always sit there. So I feel this CDO should sit over there. Underneath this, all roles will run the show. CAO, bring the use cases. Chief Digital Officer, bring the technology to convert. Data governance, bring governance. Data management will bring management. All these plays underneath that. Of course, there has to be a data architect team who should design the architecture to deliver the data product. That's my take. Now, Marek, what's your take? You have 2 minutes.
As I said, it's very complicated in the organizations. So from the ideal point of view, the CDO should be the part of the board and will have all these, I would say, not only responsibilities, but all this organization power. So documented, which never happened in the organizations. So they never documented the power of the responsibility he's got, because
Marek, thanks.
it's a problem. I think it's a problem of a definition of the organization charts, because they are coming from the legacy versions of that, where there are ranks or these kind of squares for financial, for sales, for marketing, for anyone else, in the technology stuff, but they never was charted in the board. And from that perspective, it's almost impossible to have smooth and neat communication and interaction and cooperation between these 4 types of responsible people, which is a CTO, CIO, a business definition, and data guys. So from my perspective, it's really needed to describe CDO as a chief, really chief, sitting on the board with the full power on the organization described, to be on top of CTO, on top of CIO, on top of analytics, and on top of business. So he has to be there, and it never happened. I never seen the organizations like that.
You again won my heart, Marek. Thank you so much. You are again my best friend. Greg. Greg, what's your take on these roles?
Yeah, I think when companies claim that they are data-driven, AI-driven, whatever they are driven, they should do a kind of a responsibility on that main C level. So what I've mentioned in my starting discussion, I think currently CDOs and other extensions like this are mainly in the second role, not in the first part and not part, as Marek has mentioned, in part of the board. So there should be some kind of representation, but the main discussion is what is the difference or the end of the responsibility from the other C's levels, to that kind of role, and that's quite difficult to solve, and that's why we are discussing these things, and many other organizations are doing that as well. But in general, there are a lot of additional requirements popping up in terms of being more data-driven, being AI-driven, so that you have to care about all those additional tasks in your organization. And for that purpose, I'm thinking so that they should introduce a dedicated role on a board level, as Marek has mentioned.
Thank you so much. Last but not the least, Daniel, floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for all the interesting insights here today. I would go a different direction. I always do. But my take on all of this, data governance, data architecture, all of these things, I think there is an issue when we have looked and saying data is IT's thing. Data is everyone's thing. So all the C levels need to have an accountability when it comes to data. And I don't think it will solve anything by putting a new role, because everyone will just point, oh, it's that guy. It's like a friend of mine who...
Let me add, because you're saying it should be, but history says nobody takes ownership. So you need to find someone who is ready to take a call that which product should fulfill the requirement, rather than Oracle, IBM, XYZ come and say, hey, my product works for you, and everybody every product can fulfill 20 to 30% of
you need support functions that support and guide the decisions. But in my opinion, we cannot exclude ourselves from what's needed to happen. I think if we look in the trajectory where everything is going, Marek, you pointed out quite well 3 years ago, you had a vision where everything is going. We're not getting less data-centric and less data-driven in the future, which means that we need to increase the capabilities on the C-suite, and then we need to have support functions that helps them and guides them in their decisions. So what I'm hinting at, perhaps the CDO role, if we do this well, it can be a supporting role, but we don't have to have a new person that everyone points to. Like I have a friend who used to be a CIO at a big major corporation, and at the management meetings, when the projector didn't work, they pointed at him and said, can you help us fix this technology? And he's telling them, but I am not an IT technician just because I'm a CIO. And the same thing for me applies to the CDO role. That person does not have to deal with all the data just because there's data in the title. So that's my final words.
We are right on. So just to conclude, taking Daniel last example, and I think that is the sole reason why these all roles keep moving after every 2 years. Reason being, there are not right people to take a call, because as you give an example, this CIO, right? This poor guy has no idea what data is. Now, when you point to that guy has no idea. See, that's why I keep telling people and keep advocating. Yes, I am biased because I am from data side. That data guy has to be CDO. Because if you put a right role, right skill set into the right role, and you ask this guy, hey, produce something, if this guy has a background, So there is highly chances this guy can produce something good. Thank you so much. I think we are already on top of 2 minutes. Thank you so much, everyone. It was pleasure. Sessions. Hey, Marcus, you want to say something? Sorry, I can see Marcus is here. Again, I think he wanted to go to another
It's
session.
okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much again. Pleasure. We will set up another session in a quarter's time. I will get you guys onto our group. Maybe we can set a session on what is a data product, because I see a lot of people confuse what is a data product. It can be a report, it can be a dashboard. What do you think, Marek? It's a good topic for next time?
It's a perfect
I
topic.
think.
Great. Great. Daniel,
Good.
what do you think, guys?
Yeah, fully agree.
Awesome. Thank you. So now we are in March, maybe April, May, June or July, somewhere there. Let's set a session. What is data product? Thank you, guys. Have a nice day. Have a good weekend. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice
Thank
weekend.
you. Bye-bye.
I appreciate
Bye.
it. Thank you. It was perfect. Thank you.
Yes.